The Church of San Giuseppe does its best to hide itself and often eludes those who, on an early Saturday morning, reach the Bianchi for a glass of white wine. But if you go inside, you will discover a temple of art, history, and devotion, where you can observe every detail to the sound of music, which transforms spaces into echoes of infinite harmonies. We are in the neighborhood of the Curia dei Fabii, an ancient Roman lineage that also had possessions in Brescia, whose name probably derives from the fact that they made their fortune trading broad beans. The urban topography indicates that we are on the western slopes of the Cidneo hill, just outside the Roman walls that trace the western perimeter of ancient Brixia. Today's Via Gasparo da Salò is close to the walls, here still visible for substantial stretches, and immediately north of the gate of the Decumanus Maximus, known in the Middle Ages as Porta Bruciata. In antiquity, this area was rich in water. The Garda stream to the west formed the boundary between the city and the countryside, and the water supply in this part of the city was probably ensured by an aqueduct built in the 1st century. A private house facing Via Gasparo da Salò, just in front of the right-hand side of the church, still preserves a beautiful mosaic dating back to the 4th century, with 3 inscriptions. Wash yourself well, have a good bath, away with the dirt. Reminder of a small spa. It goes without saying that water also means hygiene, and it is no coincidence that it was here in the Middle Ages that stue or stuve were located, public baths that evolved into brothels. One of the first public bathhouses in Italy, well established as early as 1428, was active in this area until the early 1500s. But let us return to the history of the construction of this convent complex, which, over time, was endowed with the monumental and unprecedented church and 3 cloisters. It all began in 1515, when the Friars Minor purchased 2 houses here with the aim of normalizing social life and facilitating the preaching of the order. Only a year later, in 1516, the Serenissima imposed the Esplanade on Brescia. That is, the demolition of the buildings around the walls within a 1-mile radius. The operation caused, among others, the destruction of the convent of Sant'Apollonio, located to the east of the city and at the foot of the Ronchi Hills, and the monastery of San Rocco, managed by the observants on the opposite side of the city. The Serenissima rewarded the order with substantial financial compensation, and on the 4th of October 1519, the day of Saint Francis of Assisi, the foundation stone was laid and blessed by Mattia Ugoni, then Bishop of Famagosta. Once the construction of the church was completed in 1541, work began on the 3 cloisters. Still today, the imposing entrance opens onto a small square, known in the Middle Ages as degli uccelli, of the birds, or delle rape, of the turnips, in reference to the commercial vocation of this space. Inside the church, 2 rows of 8 columns of a giant order support the high barrel vault of the nave, flanked by the 2 side aisles, onto which open 10 chapels on each side, enclosed by iron gates. The altars tell a long history of devotion, linked to the ancient associations of craftsmen, the Paratici, who went there to pray and ask for the protection of God and the saints over their activities. This is why St. Joseph's is also called the Church of the Craftsmen.